Hi everyone, I'm Kathy Hazel Adams. Thank you for joining me today. Today I want to talk with you all a little bit about the solstice and what this energy gateway is actually bringing to us, because this is a big one. I do want to talk with you a little bit about what energetically I see going on with Israel-Iran war and how that fits into our collective transformation into our ascended state. And also, I feel like I should share, in some cases, recap a little bit, actually share some things I hadn't shared with you about what I had seen around Donald Trump and his presidency and the election, and how things might go forward. Do stay with me until the end, because I'm going to give you a tip or two about how to get the maximum benefit from this solstice and really what might be, as it turns out, part of the solar flash event. We'll talk about that. But first, I want to say welcome and thank you to all our new subscribers. We had quite a few people subscribe and, of course, click like and leave comments and questions on the last video I did about can a spirit or an entity or an energy attach itself to you. And I'm just so gratified that so many of you found that helpful. And a big shout out and thank you because Tim of Telltale Tarot, who I think so highly of and watch all the time, as I said in my last video, I click on Tim. I love Tim and Alfie, and Tim says in his own way the same things I teach and understand. So there's a real simpatico there. And I do click on Tim sometimes to see if what he's seeing going forward is in line with what I'm seeing. And it very often is. Anyway, all of you who have subscribed and written to me, thank you. And if you're one of Tim's followers from Telltale Tarot, I'm so glad you're here. And because I know that you are such a loving, heart-based community of people, and I am just thrilled and honored to be a part of your community too. So thank you. So let's start out talking about this solstice, which is June 20th at 10:42 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. So, you know, wherever you are in the world, you'll have to back that up or go forward in your time. All solstices are a big deal because they are literally the ending of one part of a cycle and the beginning of the next. So they're always a portal. They're always a gateway, and that's why they've been celebrated as such for eons. This particular one is huge, and it's huge for several reasons. First of all, just the fact that it is happening right when we're in the process of ascending as a species and as a planet, as a galaxy and cosmos. We're in ascension, so the solstice is a huge one. There's more that makes it such a powerful gateway and portal. This particular solstice comes with a particular planetary sacred geometry that is not often, if ever, seen. It's the way the planets are lining up and the way the planets have moved into signs and the signs they've moved into, and the outer planets, which move very slowly, they have changed signs. There are so many significant conjunctions and trines and aspects, and they're all lining up, as one other dimensional put it, creating almost like an energetic pathway in from the cosmos. The energies that we're getting right now aren't just from our solar sun. We are actually receiving direct cosmic light codes from the center sun. We are receiving directly cosmic light codes of extremely high frequency. And I'll unpack that all here in just a moment. We are also at a solar maximum. We have maximum solar activity, and it had been very, very active. Looked like it died down for a day or two, but even I could see that something was coming from around the back and around the side. Oh, well, it did. And we had not only solar flares, but some kind of a huge plasma dump a couple of days ago on the planet. And then we had an X-class solar flare, a 1.2 X-class solar flare, which is the most intense type of solar flare. We are literally being deluged with light codes. And the thing is that when we have all of this solar activity, it very much interacts with the planet. And again, I'll talk about that in just a moment. It interacts with the planet. It interacts with our electrical systems. we are an electromagnetic system in our body, so it interacts with us in a very physical way, and of course in our nervous systems and our brains. I mean, it affects us on every level, including spiritual, of course. So this particular solstice, I'll go through a couple of things that are being offered about it from the higher dimensionals. I'd call them ETs, but they're not physical. Didn't fly in from another planet. So higher dimensionals. Tia, who is an Arcturian channeled personality that you can hear on GFL station, is one out of only one or two, three at the most, that I highly value and find very, very in tune with highest vibrational channeling information. Tia has strongly implied that this particular solstice is actually involved in the big event, the solar flash. She never exactly said the solstice itself is the solar flash, but she implied, again, very strongly, that this solstice is very much involved in the solar flash event, and that there certainly could be energies too high frequency, too intense for some of our power grid structures, and that we might lose some of our power grids, and that communications could go down, those kinds of things. Now, when I did my video on the solar flash as part of the Great Shift series that I'm not finished recording yet, I had said to you that just as I was recording that, I got the impression of a swarm, like a swarm of solar flares and events. And in other words, maybe there is one big solar flash that's sort of a culminating thing, but that it's a sort of a swarm, a collective of solar events as well around the solstice. Well, so far, everybody, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing lots of very heavy-duty solar activity, and we are seeing commensurate hurricanes, volcanoes, earthquakes. A couple of the higher dimensionals have directly described all of this solar activity and this solstice as purging us of generational trauma, the trauma of lack and separation and war and fighting and all of those things that's sort of gotten so ingrained. It's hereditary, but it isn't just physical, but it can get just ingrained right down into your DNA and your cells because you've held it in your consciousness for so long and passed it on generation to generation. This is how it is here. It's the paradigm, right? This is how it is. This is how it is. And so a purging of that, and very much an upgrade. And Leti, who is also Arcturian, and you can hear Leti on the GFL station, Leti said very directly that we are receiving the light codes, the cosmic light codes, that upgrade our bodies to our light body. So literally right now, as I'm speaking to you, we are shifting out of our carbon-based physical structures and into the more crystalline structure that can hold so much more light. So we'll still be physical, but we're going into our light bodies. And I love the way he put it. He said, we're rapidly moving through, accelerated and moving through the fourth dimension. And of course, the fourth dimension is the dimension of consciousness, of the idea energy that exists underneath of the physical. It's what generates what we perceive as physical. It's the true information. It's the real information in our consciousness with which we construct our reality and our world. And I've talked about the fourth dimension in another video, and I won't go into detail here, but it is the realm of consciousness, not the 3D physical, but the consciousness, the energy, and it is a broad band. At the lower end of it, that's where you would have your ghosts and your scary other dimensional creatures. You would have astral travel more toward the lower end. In the higher end, you're in the Christed consciousness. You're aware of the energy information behind everything. You're aware of the oneness of everything. You have enhanced clairvoyant and healing abilities because you are one with everything. You know what's going on. You don't need anymore to look to the physical to tell you what's going on because you can just receive the information directly, informationally. So that's the fourth dimension. We've been moving into and through that. I've talked about that. And I love that Leti said, you're moving through the fourth dimension and into that fifth dimensional light body. So where you're completely awake in your consciousness and your awareness of vibration and vibrational energy, and you're no longer burdened by that dense third dimensional fear separation based paradigm. But again, Tia had very much connected it to the solar flash. And as I said just a moment ago, I had shared that I was picking that up possibly as sort of a swarm. That is what we're seeing. That's what we've been seeing, and that is what we continue to see. So I'm popping in here. I recorded this video on Thursday the 19th, and today is Friday the 20th of 2025. And I wasn't finished editing that video to post for you here this morning. But meanwhile, there's been another giant solar flare. This is an X-class 1.9 solar flare. And again, it hit the Pacific directly. It hit Hawaii directly and bathed the whole Pacific area in not only visible photons, but the high frequency X-rays. And of course, we just on the 17th had that 1.7 X-class flare doing the same thing. And of course, the tropical storm that was over Mexico quickly within a couple of hours became Hurricane Eric. It's major. There was an earthquake there. And now Kilauea, which has been erupting through June. It's like a fountain eruption. The geologists there are saying it's just getting ready to turn into a big eruption. I just wanted to pop in with this to reiterate, as I'd said, I had sort of picked up the feeling of a swarm of solar activity being the solar flash event or being part of it along with actual solstice. And I think that's what we're seeing here. And so we've had 2 M-class flares just in the last few days, the last week or so, plus the 2 X-class flares, the 1.2 X-class on the 17th, and then the 1.9 X-class flare on the 19th, yesterday. Interestingly, these 2 X-class solar flares with their great amount of X-rays burst directly over the Pacific, directly at Hawaii. And Bashar had said at one point that the semi-dormant volcano Haleakala on Maui is actually the heart chakra of the planet. So I find it interesting that we're having these flares hit the Pacific, hitting Hawaii directly. And by the way, that Stefan Burns that I mentioned, he did a wonderful shorter video, I think it's only 20 minutes or so, where he's really telling you about this particular flare, what the classes of flares are, and then he does talk again about the sacred geometry that's in place right now, today, tonight, for solstice, 10:42 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. And by the way, the solstice energies, they've been pouring in, and they will be pouring in. It's not just the moment of solstice, but today is the day of solstice, Friday in the U.S., the 20th of June. Going on about the sun and our solar sun and then the central sun. The central sun is sort of the energetic consciousness dynamo, certainly for our galaxy. Maybe for our whole universe, maybe not, but certainly for our entire galaxy. And that cosmic information comes into our solar sun, which acts, I can liken it to a capacitor. Takes that cosmic information and beams it to us in photons. And we've been getting lots of that, and still are, especially with all this solar activity. But now we are also receiving direct, high frequency cosmic information, as I said. One of the higher dimensionals had said, it's going to be X-rays, it's going to be gamma rays, very high frequency that normally could have done damage to your planet and to your bodies, to your cells. And I think it may have been Tia, I can't remember, had said, but you're being upgraded so that your bodies and your DNA can handle these higher frequency waves of light. And interestingly, I clicked briefly on a purely scientific YouTube channel. It was something Space MOG, something like that. A young lady who's got a doctorate in this stuff, and she was talking about these high intensity cosmic codes coming into us. And the reason they're coming so directly to us right now is when you have all these solar flares and solar winds and blasts of plasma, our own magnetosphere, the electromagnetic sort of sheath that protects our planet, actually gets sort of blown and stretched and thinned away from the Earth so that the magnetosphere becomes very thin. And when the magnetosphere is very thin, we can take in a lot more of the cosmic codes. And that's where we are right now. We're taking in all the true, pure information from source. Stefan says, and he showed a chart, that solar maximums, which we're in right now, tend to be the times when big social revolutions happen. And he actually showed the chart, and the only couple I remember off of that chart is the French Revolution, the Arab Spring. I mean, big, visible social revolutions. It looks to me that out of about 26 solar maximums, 13 of them had at their peak or close to their peak a major social upheaval, a major social revolution. So just saying, everyone, we're at a solar maximum right now. So we'll see if a revolution happens. And it sure has been looking like it's trying to happen, doesn't it? And I will, as I said at the end of the video, give you a couple of tips and ways to really surrender to and maximize the value of this gateway to transition into your light body. But first, I want to share with you a couple of things that I said I was seeing and that have happened. And I want to share with you some of the things I saw around Donald Trump and the election and maybe where things may be going and Iran, all of that. So a couple of weeks ago, I posted a video in which I shared that I was seeing the first part of June 7th through 10th, being very, very full of upheaval and particularly seismic activity. And indeed, there were, I think, like 3 volcanoes, and there was earthquake all along the Pacific edge of South America, Central America. It was really very full of seismic activity, and I had seen it was going to be a time of real upheaval. And I told you in that video that I was seeing mid-June as being a big deal. And I started out saying the 15th, and then I said the 17th, I'm seeing the 17th. The mid-June area, you know, the 10th through the 15th, Israel attacked Iran on the 12th. We had that huge day of protest in the U.S. against Donald Trump and his policies. And we had that flop of a Kim Jong-un style military parade and celebration on the 14th. And backing up to June 10th, we had the LA riots, which were actually not riots. They were peaceful protests, pretty much, that could easily have been handled by the local LAPD. But of course, Donald Trump got the military involved and deployed them to the streets with their flashbangs and their smoke bombs. And then people were provoked. And it got a little uglier, but it still wasn't anything the LAPD couldn't handle. But in any case, we had all of that upheaval when I said we would. The 17th, though, oh my goodness. I mean, I honestly had no idea when I saw that number right here. First of all, that's the day that Donald Trump made it clear to the public that he had been involved in the plans to attack Iran. And that's the day he deployed fighter jets and battleships to get involved in that conflict with Iran. And the 17th is the day we had that giant 1.2 X-class flare. And the 17th is the day we had a double Schumann resonance blackout, which Leahy, again, an Arcturian personality channeled, you can hear him on GFL station. Leahy said that blackout was this silence so that you could hear the cosmic information coming in. So it was a stopping of everything so we could hear what's really there to be heard from our source. So the 17th was a very huge day in ways that I certainly didn't and could never have foreseen. Around Donald Trump and what I had seen around the election and what I had seen as far as his presidency and then going forward this summer, I'll try to be quick. Originally, when he was elected, I could see that there was no energetic will behind him or underneath him to be the president of the U.S. It was like literally nothing underneath him. At that time, before he was inaugurated, I could see that he would stand on stage and take the oath. I know some psychics were saying he's not going to even take the oath. Yeah, he did, and I saw that. However, I saw there was nothing underneath him. There was no actual energy for him to be the president. And I knew that he's not the legitimate president. He's not who the people wanted. And when he was elected, I had this vision, and I have shared this, I think, in other videos. I saw literally like a big bank vault where a big room, and there would have been stacks and stacks, like sacks and sacks of money, and a whole bunch of them were missing. Like there was big big gap where there should have been more sacks of money or coins or whatever. And I saw Elon Musk running in almost like this. Oh, I can't believe we pulled it off. I can't believe we pulled it off. And I didn't see Trump, but his presence was implied in the vision. That's the only way I can put it. And I knew as soon as I saw that, and it came to me, I didn't go looking for it. As soon as I saw that, I thought, oh, they've stolen the election. And they're like, oh my golly, we did it. Oh, who knew? Who'd have thunk? I know that a lot of people would think that's conspiracy theory. However, I will point out that there are so many irregularities and problems with that whole deal and how it went down that it is actually starting to be looked at and investigated now in Rockland County, New York, where a court is letting an investigation go forward on hand counting votes, because there are reports of people who absolutely voted for Kamala. And then when you look at the stats, it said 0 votes for Kamala. Where did those go? So they're looking into that, and more information is coming out. You can see that the normal data that would show up on a chart of elections is very, very skewed, as in impossibly skewed, especially in the swing states. And I will remind everybody that whereas normally you don't know election results till very, very late at night or even the next day because things are still being counted and tallied, by 10 o'clock that night, Donald Trump had just won all 8 swing states. And everybody knew it. And evidently, Elon Musk said he knew who won 4 hours earlier than that. And I'll point out that Elon Musk's little 4-year-old in President Trump's own office said, "You're not the president." And in another interview with the 4-year-old crawling around, the 4-year-old said, "They'll never find out." So I'm just saying, everybody, I know what happened. I know that election was stolen. Will that ever be proven? I don't know. But this is a preface for what I'm about to tell you. So again, I had seen 0 energy holding him up as the actual president. I had seen the bank vault with Elon Musk and Trump implied in the picture, though not visibly seen to me in that picture. I had very much, as did Tim from Telltale Tarot, I did not see, the energy wasn't there for Trump to be in office more than about 3 months. I truly, truly felt energetically, not hoped, felt that something was going to get revealed and he was going to go down before he even got started, and that he'd be out of there by March or April. And at the time I had said, I see him being in there 3 or so months, maybe 4, maybe as long as 6. Now, as time went on, I felt that timeline extending, pushing away from obviously the 3 months, moving more toward the 6 months. And I had told all of you that I saw things happening June and July, and there's a lot of astrology going on in July that would reflect a lot of upheaval, just like we've been having in June. But that by September, and certainly by October, it feels like that's all died down. Like it kind of feels like he's out of office by then, and sort of picking up the pieces and moving on from the chaos and upheaval that Donald Trump created. And as far as the content of the timeline, as far as like how things go, what I had originally seen when I asked, and this would have been 2 or 3 months ago now, I saw 3 probable realities, 3 available timelines. And I'm not saying there weren't more, but I saw 3 major ones. One was that he actually stayed in office for a while. And with that, I saw a map of Europe sort of with fires all over it. And I knew I was being shown that there would be war and conflict and fighting everywhere if Trump stayed in office. The second timeline I saw, and this was as clear as a bell, I saw the streets of the United States filled with people protesting the policies of Donald Trump, protesting Trump. And I distinctly saw and heard him in the Oval Office and someone coming in saying, "Sir, you have to leave now. The people don't want you." And I saw it and heard it just as clear as if it was in a room with me. And I could feel it. I could feel that, no, you're done, and even your own people are telling you, "You're done. You need to leave." And it honestly felt sort of like the villagers with pitchforks kind of moment. The third timeline that I saw was that something was revealed that was simply not tolerable, like the election fraud came out and how it was done with receipts, how it was done and whatnot, so that he's taken out of office for that. Maybe impeached out of office for some kind of really criminal activity kind of thing, but sort of more of a paperwork actions type of removal versus the people in the streets demanding he leave. A month or two later, and I can't give you exact times here, I looked again and saw that those last two timelines had merged, like that it would be maybe a combination of the people in the streets, they don't want you anymore, you have to leave, and by the way, you're leaving because something, you've done something terrible that you're no longer tolerated here. I did see with that second scenario there, a group of people sitting around the table, I think including Kamala Harris, but a group of maybe politicians, senators, upper management of the U.S. government sitting around, sort of a rectangular meeting table going, this is unprecedented. This is unprecedented. What do we do? What do we do? How do we handle this? And it almost felt to me like there would be sort of an interim government of sorts to just have someone in charge of the place while they figure out what to do and how to move forward and to have other elections or to reinstall Kamala, something like that. And I have seen, and I think other psychics have reported similar, I have seen Kamala sitting at a desk doing her work, just doing her work. And I still can see it. And when I see her, it's not, oh, she's back in triumph, she really won and she's the savior of the US. It's not quite like that. It's, we just had a full-blown cataclysm. The US is not the same as it was. We're trying to figure out elbows from you-know-what. And she's the figurehead and taking the place here and sitting there and doing her job while we get this figured out, sort of thing. So as I look at it now, I'll be honest, I'm not sure what I see. It feels blurry, like there are options still up in the air. But what I can tell you for sure is this. We are ascending. We are, as I said in one of my last videos, everyone is over the strife and conflict. No one wants it. It doesn't match our vibration anymore. The attack with Israel and Iran is actually a rising up, a culmination, a purifying out of a generations-long ingrained adversarial stance. It actually came up and out where we can see it so that, again, it can be released. So I'm not at all worried that we're going to blow ourselves up, that there's going to be nuclear war. I'm really not. I feel very reassured from what I'm feeling energetically and from what I'm hearing from the higher dimensionals, the few of them that I listen to. One of the ones that I listen to and I like is Mira. She's a Pleiadian, and she also can be heard on GFL station, but I loved it. She said, what you're seeing right now is that dark energy, and we'll talk about dark versus light on another day. Darkness is not a force. It cannot take over light. It is simply a turning away from the light. It's a morphic field. It's a mindset. It doesn't have any power of its own. But in any case, she said, those that are in that darkness and the control structures and all of the systems they have in place, she said, what you're seeing now is the chaos, the infighting. They're at each other's throats. They're turning on each other because they're in panic mode, because they can tell that they're losing their grip, that the story and the game they've been running, none of us are buying it anymore. And they feel that and they know that. And what I love is she said, they feel their ship going down. And if you looked at my last couple of videos, isn't that exactly what I said? I said, we are fine. We are safe. We're watching a shipwreck. We're not on the shipwreck. The ship is on the rocks. It's gone. That old paradigm, that old negative separation, hatred, war, greed, control paradigm ship, that's on the rocks. It's busting up on the rocks. You and I are sitting up high and dry watching it. Or we're in our very nice little lifeboat with our life vests and our provisions and the money in our pocket. Remember, I said that a couple of videos ago. It's like, that's why I said it's like watching a shipwreck. We don't have to be scared. We're not on the shipwreck. We're just watching the ship get broken up on the rocks and what's happening. Everything that was in there is getting busted up so you can distinguish all the details of what was in there. That's what's going on with all of that. So with compassion for what the people are going through, not only in Gaza, but now evidently in Iran and in Israel, because a lot of innocent citizens are getting hurt everywhere because of greedy, fearful, warmonger leaders. With compassion for them, and do understand that they are experiencing what they're experiencing for their own reasons, but with great compassion for them, let's celebrate the joy, the love, the unity that we're all moving into. And what I would say to you about this solstice energy, this deluge coming in that may even be or culminate in a solar flash type of event, give yourself to it. Welcome in the cosmic energies that are helping you move into your light body. Let's celebrate the love and the joy, because, when we're in that vibration, I can almost feel a sort of, I don't know, just all of us maybe hooked arms together all over the planet, because there are more and more and more of us. There's so much love, that fear and hatred and separation and greed, that it doesn't resonate in the same place. It can't live here. It just can't live here. We don't have to fight it off or fight it away. We just stay where we are in our love and our joy. And so during all of this, no matter what you see going on and whether you have power outages or not, always stay anchored in your heart. And again, I love it when the higher dimensionals echo the way I've been saying something. I am the only one I've ever heard until today say, when you ground to your inner self, ground to your heart, your spirit, who and what you truly are, the source of your being, ground to that. And didn't I just hear one of the higher dimensionals today say, ground in your heart center? So I love that. Now, about grounding, there is grounding in terms of equalizing your electromagnetic field of your body, your physical body, and making sure it's exactly congruent and harmonized with the Earth's magnetic field. So definitely do the groundings that you know how to do. Stand outside in bare feet, go swimming, be in the water, because anytime you're in an earth element, you're grounding, you're equalizing your frequency, your electromagnetic vibration with that of Mother Earth. But as far as where you have your center and where you ground, turn it to your heart center and just hold there. Hold the love. Hold with our love. You don't have to be mad at anybody or upset about anything you see. Just hold the love, and those things cannot exist where we are now. I hope something I said today helped you out. This Sunday, the 22nd, I will be doing my live spirit talk via Zoom. You are welcome to attend. It is free, or donate what you wish. You can register for that. I'll leave a link below, or you can become a Patreon member. That would automatically register you to attend those. So I'll leave those links below in the description. Thank you again for being here today, and have a most blessed solstice.